If you're running a business, there's a conversation happening about you right now, 24/7. It's happening on Google, and honestly, it's one of the biggest factors for your success. So let's dive into why your Google reviews aren't just feedback, they're the most important, unfiltered conversation you could possibly have with your customers. So the big question is, are you actually part of that conversation? Because here's the thing, whether you participate or not, it's already shaping how every potential customer sees you. Okay, think about this for a second. An absolutely staggering 84% of people trust online reviews just as much as a personal recommendation. That means a complete stranger's opinion on Google can be just as powerful as advice from a best friend. And we're not talking about just a casual glance either. Over 90% of consumers are actively reading these reviews before they even think about visiting your website, picking up the phone, or walking through your door. For most people, this is the very first step of their journey with you. And this is where you come in. Customers are an incredible 89% more likely to actually reach out to a business that actively responds to its reviews. Responding isn't just about being polite, it literally drives people to take action. So, what does all this really mean? It points to a huge shift. We've got to stop thinking of reviews as just, feedback. Think of them as your 24/7 storefront. It never closes, and it's probably your most influential one. For today's customer, your Google reviews page is basically your new front door. You know how people used to say word of mouth was everything? Well, it still is. It's just gone digital. Reviews are now the engine of word of mouth online, and they offer a level of credibility that, let's be honest, traditional advertising just can't guy. And there's a really simple psychology at play here. Volume builds trust. A business with hundreds of reviews, even if they're not all 5-star, just feels more real and more reliable than a business with only a few. So we've talked about how customers see reviews, but now let's switch gears and look at it from Google's point of view. How does the all-powerful search engine see all this activity? This, my friends, is where customer service meets SEO, the science of getting seen online. Here's the most important thing to understand. When you respond to a review, you're not just talking to a customer. You are sending a direct, and I mean powerful signal straight to Google's algorithm that your business is active, you're paying attention, and you can be trusted. And why does that signal matter so much? Well, it all comes down to this number, 10 times. That's how many more customers businesses in the top 3 local search spots get. The reward for ranking high is, it's massive. And that 10x advantage, it comes from landing in that highly coveted spot, the Google 3-pack or the Map Pack. It's the very first thing people see when they do a local search, and being there is an absolute game changer. See, Google rewards this engagement in really specific ways. It sees your responses as a big sign of authenticity. In fact, Google pretty much tells you to reply to at least 94% of your reviews. And when you do that, the algorithm gives you a nice boost in your local SEO, improves your visibility on Google Maps, and pushes you closer and closer to that 3-pack. All right, so we've covered the why. Now for the fun part, the how. Let's get into your strategic playbook for writing responses that don't just win over customers, but win over Google too. It really just boils down to 4 simple but super powerful rules. First up, be quick. More than half of your customers expect you to respond within a week. Next, always be professional and courteous. Third, and this is a big one, be personal. Nobody wants a generic copy and paste reply. And finally, be strategic. Now, this is the strategic part that so many businesses miss out on. Every single response you write is a golden opportunity to boost your local SEO. By just mentioning the specific service the customer used, like tree pruning or emergency plumbing, you're reinforcing those keywords and helping Google rank you for those exact searches. Just look at the difference here. The generic response, "Thanks for the positive review," is fine, but it does nothing for you. The strategic response, on the other hand, thanks John by name, and reinforces the living will service. It turns a simple thank you into a powerful little SEO magnet. But of course, not every review is going to be a glowing 5-star one. But what about the bad reviews? Well, believe it or not, a negative review can actually be one of your biggest opportunities. Let's look at how we can flip the script. Oof, a review like this, it stings, right? It can feel like a really public attack. And your gut reaction might be to get defensive, or maybe just to ignore it and up it goes away. But whatever you do, don't do that. Instead, try a response like this one. See how it works? It's empathetic, it's professional, it doesn't start an argument, but it does make it clear what your standards are. And most importantly, it takes the conversation offline so you can solve the problem directly. And the result of that simple professional response, it can be pretty incredible. Get this, 1 in 3 customers who get a reply to their negative review will actually go back and change it to a positive one. That's a huge potential win from what looked like a loss. But here's the real secret. Your response to that negative review, it isn't just for the unhappy customer. It's for every single potential customer who reads it after them. You're publicly showing everyone that you're accountable and that you're a business that cares, and that builds a massive amount of trust. Okay, let's bring it all home. The evidence is just overwhelming at this point. Responding to your Google reviews is no longer a nice-to-have. It is absolutely essential if you want to succeed online. So here's your action plan. First things first, if you haven't already, go claim and verify your Google business profile. You can't do any of this without it. Next, make review management a top priority. Aim to respond to nearly every single review, and hey, actually use that feedback to make your business even better. So I'll leave you with this one thought. The conversation about your business is happening right now, with or without you. By jumping in, you're not just managing your reputation, you're building relationships, you're driving real growth, and you're taking control of your own story. So the question isn't if you should join this conversation. The real question is, what's stopping you?